Folks, good evening and welcome to the Fundesliga Quiz League Season 8 Grand Finale, the international track. All our four finalists are already here. A few sort of announcements before we get started with the proceedings. First, I'd like to thank all the question setters who've contributed questions through this entire season. There are 18 of them, probably the largest question setter team used so far in any of the seasons. So I'd like to thank Abhinav Das Gupta, Nikhil Sonde, Keshav Guha, Anantita Nath, Subhakrishna, Vibhendu Tiwari, Arjupriya Ganguly, Tanmay Roy, Rush Mukherjee, Rajan Thambaheli, Shresh Shah, Nitish Khadia, Roko Surak, Mark Cheong, Risom Paul, Avinash Matthews, Movin Miranda, and Akul Gurtu. Thanks everyone for preparing these brilliant questions throughout the season. Next, I'd definitely like to thank our very large list of readers, people who've been reading quizzes for you. Some of these names will be very familiar to those of you who are watching this and who are, of course, playing the finals. I'm going to read out the names of all the people who read at least 20 games or more. On the top position is Ankit Bisht, who read 128 games. At an hour apiece, that's 5 days plus 8 hours. So he spent a big chunk of his life reading FLQL Season 8. Deepam, who's second, but a very distant second, given what Ankit has done, read 50 games, but again, very impressive. And then we have Rahul Preman, Abhijit Bhadran, Shrotam, Harit Jain, Rutvik Mahajan, Rupi Modi, Ushri Biswas, Tanmay Roy, again, both a quiz setter and a quiz reader. Ushri Biswas, Shoaib Chaudhary, who is the last person to have read at least 20 games. So thanks everyone for reading. I think without the readers, we can't run a quiz league like this one. Folks, I'd also like to share the fact that one of the greatest quiz players around, Sarah Treverton, passed away last month, and she had played multiple seasons of FLQL. A lot of you, obviously, over the years have played against her. So if I could just request everyone to take, just maintain silence for 15 seconds in her honor, and to share our love and affection for her family. Okay, thanks everyone. And now we'll get started. The seat order has been randomized already. If based on your seat order, each one of you could just take maybe quick 20 seconds, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about your experience of having played this season of FLQL. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is Pranjal. I am based in Singapore. Played every season of FLQL and Flame so far, so love the questions. This season has been no different, so looking forward to the questions in the finals as well. Thank you.
Excellent.
I'm Ujjwal, based in the Netherlands, but I'm currently playing from India. I think I'm a returning player. I didn't play the last couple of seasons, but I came back this season, and it's been great as always. So like the questions, and hope to have a different result in the final this time, but I don't think it's likely. But we'll move on.
I'm Shane Whitlock. I'm based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And I love to play this league as much as I can. It's usually either 12 or 13 and a half hour time difference, but I like to be here as much as I possibly can. So it's great. Thank you to everyone involved.
Hello, I'm Pat Gibson. I'm based in Wigan in the north west of England. I think I've taken part in most FLQL leagues of this sort. These super high quality Mimirs have been one of the great steps forward of the past 5 years in quizzing. I've enjoyed it greatly.
Excellent. Now, with the introductions out of the way, folks, best of luck to all four of you. We're going to start the proceedings. So as usual, we have 8 rounds of questions coming up for each of you. I'll keep track of the score and keep reminding you where we are in the quiz. 30 seconds on the timer. Pranjal, your first 2 questions coming up. Let me make sure I have the answers in front of me, and let's begin. Please let me know in case you want anything to be zoomed in or zoomed out, or if you want me to read slower. In Inside Man 2006, a riddle goes, what weighs more? All the trains that pass through Grand Central in a day, or all the trees cut down in a year to print US currency? Why is it that the answer to the above riddle is they weigh the same? Explain.
Both are zero.
And I need two explanations.
Grand Central is a terminus, so maybe the trains don't pass through it. And yeah, I mean, the US currency is not made of paper. So
Excellent.
that's why
I have both the answers. The answer is zero because the Grand Central Station is actually a terminal, so no trains pass through it, and US currency isn't printed on paper made out of trees. Good answer. Your next question coming up. Indian cricket fans were in for a treat earlier this year, with Rishabh Pant and Shubman Gill getting centuries in both innings in the first and second test matches against England respectively. Gill's epic 269 and 161 in the second test made him the only second batter to score over 150 runs in each innings of a test match. Which ICC Hall of Famer who jointly names a trophy awarded for a bilateral test series with the person whose record for the highest career aggregate test runs he broke in 1993 was the first?
Alan Border.
Alan Border is correct. Okay. Ujjwal, your first two questions coming up. Which 1981 film, the directorial debut of Aparna Sen, stars Jennifer Kendall as the lonely Shakespeare teacher, Violet Stoneham, who finds some solace in the company of a former student and the latter's author boyfriend, who uses her apartment as a location for their tete-a-tetes? I need an answer.
Running out of the name. Pass.
Okay. Shane,
Pass.
Pat,
Pass.
Pranjal.
36 Chorangi Lane.
36 Shorangi Lane is a good steal. Aparna Sen's first movie. Ujjwal, your second question coming up. Naming of which radioactive chemical element not found in nature and bearing the atomic number 106 proved controversial first because its discovery was disputed between the US and USSR, and then because of IUPAC's reluctance behind naming an element for a living person. The scientific body finally yielded in 1995 and thus honored this discoverer of 10 transuranium elements.
Seaborgium.
Seaborgium is correct. Shane, your two directs coming up. This portrait of Pope Leo X, flanked by his cousins, one of whom would later become Pope Clement VII, was one of the last prominent works created by which master of the High Renaissance?
Raphael.
Raphael is correct. Your next question. Established to foster Franco-German literary exchange, what is the only German-French literary award awarded annually to contemporary authors and not necessarily to optimists between 1995 and 2011 by the Foundation Gengshagen, the Literary Association Minden, the Villa Gillette from Lyon, and the Minister of Culture, France? It is named after a French satire first published in 1759.
Candide Award.
Candide is correct. Pat, your two directs coming up. In 1940, 1948, when 28 undocumented Mexican workers were killed in a plane crash. The newspaper reports failed to mention any of their names. Instead, the victims were simply referred to as Dash. This word became the title of a Woody Guthrie song. Since the victims were nameless, Guthrie assigned them symbolic names such as Juan, Rosalita, Jesus, and Maria. The lyrics read, "Is this the best way we can grow our big orchards? Is this the best way we can grow our good fruit? To fall like dry leaves to rot on my topsoil and be called by no name except Dash." Either fill in the blanks with the title or provide us the alternative five-worded title of the song.
This land is our land.
That is not the answer I have. Ujjwal?
Pass.
Shane?
I'll pass.
Pranjal?
Pass.
And that is the first unanswered question of the quiz. The answer was deportees or plane wreck at Los Gatos. But your second question coming up. According to Hindu mythology, this river was originally a lake situated between four mountains, the Kailash, Gandhamadan, Jarudi, and Sambaka. If the mother of this river is Amogha, wife of the sage Shantanu, who is the father? Or name the river, a rare example of a male river in India.
Brahmaputra.
That is absolutely correct. Brahma or Brahmaputra or Luit or Yarlang Sangpo. And at the end of round one, still anyone's game, all really close. 3-1, 2-1 are our scores. Pranjal, your two directs coming up. The naming of the actinoid elements with atomic number 95 to 97 paid tribute to the way the respective lanthanoid elements just above them in the periodic table were named. Since the corresponding lanthanoid was terbium, named for its own town of discovery, Ytterby, what name did Seaborg and his team suggest for the element with atomic number 97 for the town where their university and lab were located?
Berkelium.
Berkelium is correct, named after Berkeley. Your next one. Truly against the spirit of St. Louis, on March 1st, 1932, whose 20-month-old son was murdered after being abducted from his crib in East Amville, New Jersey, United States.
Lindbergh.
Lindbergh is correct. Charles Augustus Lindbergh. Ujjwal, your two directs coming up. The Athletic recently published a list titled F1 at 75, which featured 8 important figures from across the 8 decades of the F1 World Championship. 1950s was represented by which legend, who amongst his many achievements raced for Alfa Romeo in the 1920s? The team that he founded holds the record for the most constructor titles and most driver titles.
Ferrari.
Ferrari is correct. This is Enzo Ferrari. Your next question. This term used today in its metaphorical sense actually goes back to 1938 when it was applied to sailors. They would get irritated all the time as the constant exposure to sea breeze converted them into the word's literal sense. Therefore, in its most metaphorical and literal sense, sailors were dash all the time. What term? Five seconds to go.
I'll try salt.
The term prompt.
Oh, salted.
Sorry, I'll have to pass
Yeah,
you.
no
Shane,
worries. Yeah.
I'll pass.
Pat.
Salty.
Salty is correct. They were irritated, they were salty about it, and they were literally salty. Sorry, couldn't give that to you.
No, fair enough. It's fine.
Shane, your two directs coming up. This tattoo is not of the ornamental red garden variety or the golden California variety. This variety is native to Turkey and has large bluish purple or white flowers. Its symmetry gravestone symbolism from the West associates it with eternal sleep. For ancient Greeks, it was the same association and one of forgetfulness. What tattoo motif is this?
I'll go with rose.
That's not the answer I have. Ujjwal,
Pass.
Pat,
That the opium poppy.
and that is absolutely correct. This is poppy, which we get opium. Shane, your next question. Among cricketers to have scored centuries in both innings of a test match, which ICC Hall of Famer was the only one to have remained not out in both innings? Nicknamed Mad Max early in his career for his tendency to get out to rash shots, this batting all-rounder went on to become one of the only four cricketers to have been adjudged player of the match in both the semi-final and the final of a 50-over World Cup.
Pass.
Ujjwal,
Maxwell.
that is wrong. Pranjal,
Oh, I would have gone for that. Pass.
Pat,
Pass.
the second unanswered question. This is a Sri Lankan player. Any guesses? This will be
Surya?
Arvind De Silva.
Oh.
Pat, your two directs coming up. We don't have cricket fans today playing this quiz. Your next question, Pat. This generation of age group is also a buzzword that countless news items have accused of killing everything from marriages to napkins. Although heard more often than ever nowadays, the term label was actually invented by co-authors Neil Howe and William Strauss in their 1991 book, Generations. What term?
Boomer.
That is not the right answer. Shane?
Millennial.
Millennials is right. My generation has been blamed for pretty much everything. You're born after 1980. Pat, your next question. Peter R. de Vries, the Ontvoering van Dash from 1987 recounts one of the most sensational kidnappings in Dutch history, told from the perspective of one of the perpetrators, Cor van Hout. Along with Willem Hollander, Frans Meyer, and Jan Bollard, he secured a ransom of, apologies, 35 million guilders or US 18 million on November the 3rd, 1983. The victim once quipped, "There's always something happening around a beer." Who? Fill in the blanks.
Heineken.
Henneken is correct. Quickly dispatched. So after round two, Pranjal is at 5, Ujjwal at 2, Shane at 3, and Pat at 4. Still a very close game. Round 3 starting now. Pranjal, your two directs coming up. This is a worm's eye view of which architectural marvel?
Could you click on it once, please?
Yeah.
Petronas Towers?
That is not the right answer. Ujjwal?
Burj Khalifa.
That is not the right answer. Shane,
Pass.
Pat,
Pass.
Burj Al
Ujjwal.
Arab.
It's Burj Al
Yes.
Arab. You were in the right neighborhood. This is the Burj Al Arab. That triangle at the top is
Hmm.
fairly iconic. Pranjal, your next question. In the athletics, F1 at 75, the 1980s were represented by which British administrator who was the driving force behind the first Concord agreements in 1981? Son of a politician who was the head of the British Union of Fascists, he ventured into administration after driving and running the March F1 team.
McLaren.
That is not the right answer. Shane,
Pass.
Ujjwal,
Mosley.
Mosley is correct. This is Max Mosley. Ujjwal, your two directs coming up. Computers may not be banned in India, but that did not stop Himalaya Wellness from naming a range of products designed to enhance memory and cognitive function after the profession of fictional characters like Peter de Vries, Tufir Hawat, or even Paul Atreides. What?
So sorry, just to clarify, what the profession of these characters? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so Mentat.
Mentat is correct. The product is Himalaya Mentat, and Mentats were biocomputers in the Dune series.
I've never seen this ad. I need to check this out.
Ujjwal, your next one. Carnival games can be unfair to the player based on how they are set up. One popular game involves the player attempting to topple a pyramid of milk bottles. The game can be made difficult by weighing down bottles at the bottom row, increasing what physical property as defined in Newton's Principia?
Basically, the moment of inertia.
I heard the operative word,
Oh,
inertia.
you just want inertia. I see. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The physical property is inertia, but I heard the right word, so I'm giving it to you. Shane, your question's coming up. The naming of which actinoid element with atomic number 98 had to buck the convention to name it for the respective lanthanoid, since the corresponding dysprosium meant hard to get at, and instead decided to name it for the university and the state where the new element was synthesized. Its discoverers even quipped that their state would have been hard to get at for the researchers who would have rushed there almost a century before looking for another element with the atomic number 79.
Californium.
Californium. And what would they have been hunting for? They would have been hunting for gold in the California gold rush. Shane, your next one. A prominent example of literary tourism based on a fraudulent premise is which structure in Verona, a popular selfie location. Apart from the fact that the building itself has no documented connection to the literary work, the structure in question was only added in the 1970s, while the work is from the 1590s. Your answer needs at least two keywords.
Juliet's window.
Prompt.
Like the window that Romeo and Juliet were speaking to each other through, from Shakespeare's play.
I'm looking for two very specific words. You still have
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Sorry, I'll have to pass you Pranjal.
Juliet's balcony.
Juliet's balcony is what I was looking
Okay.
for. She did not speak to Romeo from her window, but from her balcony.
Right.
The prompts were on Juliet's houses and anything to do with Juliet, but I needed to have both Juliet and balcony. Sorry for that. Pat, your two directs coming up. The world's distinguished novel in Chinese is the subtitle of a biennial prize presented by Hong Kong Baptist University, recognizing Chinese language fiction published both within China and also internationally. The prize is named after which famous Qing dynasty novel, scholarly academic study of which is called Redology or Hongshui.
The Dream of the Red Chamber?
That's absolutely correct. The Dream of the Red Chamber or The Story of the Stone. Pat, your next question. This is a worm's eye view of which record-holding work in progress,
The Sagrada Familia.
which is still going on and will be going on by the time we play FLQL Season 9. And at the end of round 3, we have Pranjal at 6, Ujjwal at 5, Shane at 4, and Pat at 6. Very close game, folks. Going into round 4 now. Pranjal, your questions. Which 1987 film starring Anne Bancroft, Anthony Hopkins, and Judi Dench is an adaptation of an epistolary memoir of the same name by Helen Hanff? The plot centers around a second-hand bookstore run by Frank Doyle at the titular location, which specializes in out-of-print classics.
Forgetting. Pass.
Passing to Shane.
84 Charing Cross Road.
And that's the perfect address. 84 Charing Cross Road. Good steal there. Pranjal, your next one. In this fresco, Raphael depicts Pope Leo IV with the features of Leo X, giving thanks after which 849 AD naval battle in the Tyrrhenian Sea, where an alliance of papal, Neapolitan, and Gaetan ships defeated an Arab fleet approaching Rome.
No, Battle of Sardinia.
That is not the answer I have. Shane?
Pass.
Pat?
Battle of Ostia?
The Battle of Ostia is the right answer. Great answer there. Ujjwal, your two directs coming up. 12-17-12 is a song by the Decembrists that pays tribute to a group of very unfortunate people. Instead of going by the actual date of the event, the Decembrists went with the date 3 days later when a world leader gave a speech on that matter. Which incident does it pay tribute to?
The Titanic.
That is the wrong answer. Shane?
Pass.
Pranjal?
Pass.
Pat?
Pass.
Another unanswered question. This was the Sandy Hook school shootings. That 12 there was 2012, not 1912. Ujjwal, your next one. Another cricket one. Rishabh Pant recently became the second designated wicketkeeper to score a century in each innings of a test. Which ICC Hall of Famer, the only one from his country, was the first? Five seconds.
And Sangakkara. It's not.
That's the wrong answer. Shane?
Pass.
Pranjal?
Andy Flower?
Andy Flower is correct. Good steal there. The only Zimbabwean in that list. Shane, your two directs coming up. This is a worm's eye view of which structure?
I am Pei's glass pyramid at the Louvre.
That is absolutely correct. Let me readjust the. And Shane, your next one. Which 1962 neo-noir crime film starring Alan Ladd and Rod Steiger follows a rocket scientist who's determined to track down a group of young men who assaulted him when his car ran out of gas and he was stranded in a deserted street? The film is based on the book The Tiger Among Us by Leah Brackett.
Pass.
Brackett. Passing you, Pat,
Pass.
Pranjal,
Pass.
Ujjwal. Tough one there. This is 13 West Street. Pat, your two directs coming up. The public-private partnership initiated by the US government to accelerate the development and launch of COVID-19 vaccines was named for which concept, originally from Star Trek, but now used in many sci-fi universes to convey the supernormal rate at which things would need to move?
Warp or warp speed?
That is absolutely correct. This is Operation Warp Speed for faster than light travel. Pat, your next question. Carnival games can be unfair to the players based on how they are set up. Carnival basketball games, which one has to score enough times to win a prize, can be rigged by moving the hoop higher than what regulation height in feet?
10 feet?
10 feet is correct, or in meters, 3.048 meters if you wanted to be precise. And we are at the halfway mark, folks. Pranjal is at 7, Ujjwal at 5, Shane at 6, and Pat in the lead right now at 9. Best of luck for the second half of this quiz. Pranjal, your two directs coming up. This popular tattoo has not only come to represent love and friendship, but also immortality. The Greeks used it to cool I'm sorry, I'm just checking if there's an image. No, there isn't. The Greeks used it to cool the brow and balance the heating power of wine. The Egyptians associated it with Osiris, resurrected from the dead. Its circuitous and wandering path allowed medieval Christians to symbolize eternal life. They are either made in lustrous shades of green or black worth, both with a distinctive five-pointed leaf. What tattoo motif is this?
Tree of Life.
That's the wrong answer. Shane,
Pass.
Ujjwal, Pat.
Pass.
This is the five-pointed leaf here is the ivy. So this was the ivy tattoo. Pranjal, your next one. Some Batonga people believe that the construction of the Kariba Dam in the 1950s separated Nyami Nyami from his wife. Frequent tremors caused by pressure on Lake Kariba are believed to be his attempts to reunite with his wife, who also lives in which river?
Zambezi.
Zambezi is correct. Good get there. You worked your way towards it. Ujjwal, your two directs coming up. In National Treasure, a riddle goes, the vision to see the treasured past comes as the timely shadow crosses in front of the house of pass and stow. Riddle me this to answer. What exactly is the house of pass and stow? Or what is the next clue or entity that is generally contained within the house of pass and stow? So one of two answers is acceptable. Either what is house of pass and stow or what is the next entity after the house of pass and stow.
Nothing. Pass.
Shane,
I'll pass.
Pat,
Pass.
Pranjal.
Pass.
Sadly, nobody remembers the film. Good film. House of Parsonstowe is the Independence Hall, and the next clue is the Liberty Bell. Ujjwal, your next one. The GR70 is a 276-kilometer long hiking trail in southern France that follows the route taken by Robert Louis Stevenson, as recounted in his book Travels with a Dash in the 70s. A handful of hikers choose to go full Stevenson and travel accompanied by what animal, which also fills the blank. Animal welfare groups have criticized the practice of using these animals to shuttle tourists up the cliffs of Santorini.
Yeah.
5 seconds.
I'll try goat.
That is wrong. Shane.
Donkey.
Donkey is correct. It's a donkey or an ass. And I've read that question 4 times and it still makes me laugh every time I read that question. If you are on Indian pilgrimages, you would have used donkeys and asses and ponies all the time. So, Shane, your question's coming up. Linkin Park wrote the 2007 song, The Little Things Give You Away, after they visited the Big Easy City. The heart-wrenching ballad was the biggest statement LP ever made, and its lyrics read, Hope decays, generations disappear, washed away as a nation simply stares. What was the ballad written in response to?
Hurricane Katrina.
Hurricane Katrina is absolutely right. Shane, your next one. For his fifth labor, Hercules had to clean the Augean stables. This was considered an impossible task since the 3,000 divine cattle in the stables produced prodigious quantities of dung, which had accumulated for 30 years. To complete his labor, Hercules diverted 2 rivers to clean the stables. Name either of these rivers.
Tigris.
That is not the right answer. Pat?
Alpheus.
Alpheus is the right answer.
Good.
That's a deep cut on mythology. Good steal there. Pat, your 2 directs coming up. Since they devoured and trampled their crops along the Nile, ancient Egyptians saw them as a force of destruction and followers of Seth, the god of chaos. They hunted it with harpoons from their boats. Eventually, owing to their big rounded bellies, they got a positive connotation with fertility and childbirth. It thus became a very popular tattoo. What tattoo motif is this?
I'll try hippopotamus.
And you would be absolutely right.
I've
Big
never
rounded
seen such a
belly.
tattoo.
And that's the tattoo.
Oh my gosh.
Goat.
The winner of FLQL Season 8 gets that tattoo. We won't inflict that on you. Pat, your next question coming up. Pope Leo I is one of the only 2 popes commonly referred to as the Great, the other being Gregory I. This painting by Raphael depicts Leo I with the features of Leo X, meeting which figure in 452 AD, historically a meeting where the Pope convinced him to spare Rome from plunder.
Attila.
Attila the Hun is absolutely right. And round 6 starting now. Pat increasing his lead to 12, Pranjal at 8, Shane at 8, Ujjwal at 5. Pranjal, your question's coming up. Dash is a software suite that enables infrastructure as code. It eliminates the need for physical hardware configuration and/or interactive configuration tools, thus enabling a near-instant communication over long distances, like its namesake, first used in Ursula Ursula Le Guin's novel Rocannon's World. What is the blanked out 7-letter word? Five seconds.
Pass.
Ujjwal?
I've read this book, but I've forgotten it. Pass.
Shane?
Ansible.
Yeah.
Ansible is correct. Ansible's a term used by a lot of science fiction writers. Orson Scott Card uses it. Cixin Liu uses it. Pranjal, your next one. The word rose in popularity in 2018, seen in hashtags all around, and is also referenced in Childish Gambino's Redbone. Despite these modern iterations, the word's origins goes back 53 years to a 1962 New York Times article by William Melvin Kelly titled, "If You're Dash, You Dig It." It included a glossary of African American slang, and the word meant well-informed, up-to-date. What term?
Minor.
That's incorrect. Ujjwal?
Woke.
Woke is correct. Good steal there. If you're woke, you dig it, was the term used in the original. Ujjwal, your two directs coming up. Which literary award recognizes public officials who show bravery in making difficult decisions, even when those decisions are unpopular or politically risky? It is presented annually by the John F. Kennedy Library Foundation and is named after a 1950 Pulitzer Prize-winning book, which tells the stories of 8 US senators who risked their careers for greater good.
Um,
5 seconds.
no, I just can't remember. Pass.
Pranjal?
Pass.
Shane?
Profiles in Courage.
Profiles in Courage is absolutely right. That was the name of JFK's Pulitzer Prize-winning book. The book was called Profiles in Courage. The award is called singular Profile in Courage. Both acceptable. Ujjwal, your next one. On December 8, 1963, who was kidnapped from room 417 at Harrah's Lake Tahoe at the age of 19? His father offered $1 million, but the kidnappers bizarrely settled for $240,000. Though the perpetrators were caught soon after, the mastermind was later deemed legally insane. One peculiar legacy of the event, his father, worried he had run out of change while negotiating via payphones, carried 10 dimes on him for the rest of his life and was even buried with them.
Getty.
And that's the wrong answer. Pranjal?
Pass.
Pat?
Sinatra?
Sinatra is correct. Good steal there. Shane, your two directs coming up. In the athletics F1 at 75, the 2020s were represented by which British engineer whose work greatly impacted the F1 fortunes of teams like Williams, McLaren, and most importantly, Red Bull Racing? Christian Horner, the Red Bull Racing head, the previous Red Bull Racing head, once described him as the man who could see air, and his Red Bull Racing car successfully adapted to the numerous designs constraints introduced by FIA through the 2020s.
Nui.
Newey is correct. Good get there. It's Adrian Newey. Shane, your next one. The Qualcomm Dash X prize was to be awarded for developing a device that can diagnose patients better than or equal to a panel of board certified physicians. It had to weigh less than 5 pounds, be able to diagnose only 14 medical conditions, and record and stream only 5 vital signs. A far cry from its namesake from Star Trek. What is the blanked out 9-letter word?
Tricorder.
Tricorder is correct. The Tricorder X prize. Tricorder, of course, was a device used quite frequently in Star Trek. Pat, your two directs coming up. In Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull, a riddle goes, follow the lines in the earth only gods can read, which lead to Orellana's cradle, guarded by the living dead. Riddle me this, as to what entity runs a combined length of 1,300 kilometers and was made by removing the top layer of reddish-brown ferric oxide-coated pebbles.
The Nazca lines?
The Nazca lines is a great answer. And Pat, your next one. Number one on the New York Times global list of 52 places to go in 2025 was Dash Dash's England, including sites in Winchester, Bath, and Southampton. Which author's name fills in the blanks? 2025 happens to be her 250th birth anniversary.
Jane Austen?
Jane Austen is correct. Jane Austen's England is the list of books. And now we are starting round 7. A little bit of a distance developing between Pat and Shane and Pranjal and Ujjwal, but still 16 questions to go, folks. Best of luck. Pranjal, your two coming up. The rock band Redbone, founded by Pat and Lolly Vegas, wanted to commemorate their Yaqui, Shoshone, and Mexican heritage in their art. Therefore, in memory of the massacre of the Lakota Sioux Indians by the US government in 1890, they wrote the 1973 single, We Were All Dash at Dash Dashes. Fill in the blanks. Let me correct that. We were all dash at dash dash. I need an answer.
No, pass.
Ujjwal?
Wounded at Wounded Knee.
Wounded at Wounded Knee is a great steal. Wounded Knee was the name of the event. Pranjal, your next one. Although it later became the city's slaughterhouse district and is famous today for its food, which neighborhood of Rome has attracted literary tourists since the 19th century who come to see the graves of John Keats and Percy Shelley? They're buried at the non-Catholic cemetery, which also houses the graves of Antonio Gramsci and Andrea Camilleri.
No idea. Pass.
Ujjwal?
Trastevere?
That is incorrect. Shane?
Pass.
Pat?
Pass.
This is a neighborhood called Testaccio.
Hmm.
Tough one there. Ujjwal, your two directs coming up. In Norse mythology, the venomous yeast from the rivers froze to ice and overflowed their banks. When they came into contact with the heat from Muspelheim, they melted and gave rise to which primordial being, the ancestor of all Jotnar? Ten seconds.
I'll try Yggdrasil.
That is the wrong answer. Pranjal?
Pass.
Shane?
Ymir.
Ymir is the right answer, from whose body everything was created. Ujjwal, your next question. Another work from Raphael's workshop is this 1517 work depicting Pope Saint Leo III crowning which figure as Emperor of the Carolingian Empire, a precursor to what would eventually become the Holy Roman Empire.
Try Charlemagne.
Charlemagne is correct. Good get there. Shane, your two directs coming up. The political right often uses this term for those from the political left who get easily offended. Although heard more often now, the practice of calling someone this term goes back to the Civil War era in the US. In the 1860s, Missouri, those who opposed the abolition of slavery were called this name because they preferred white skin. However, the modern iteration appears to be a jab taken from the 1999 film Fight Club. What term?
Snowflake.
Snowflake is correct. Shane, your next one. Who was left permanently scarred by the trauma of a kidnapping and later became a drug addict? A stroke in 1981 caused by a mix of drugs and alcohol left him speechless, nearly blind, and partially paralyzed for the rest of his life. He died on February 5th, 2011, at the age of 54. His grandfather, known for his extreme frugality, was partly blamed for the ordeal, as his unwillingness to pay ransom led to the loss of the boy's ear and a lifetime of trauma inflicted by the Drangheta kidnappers when he was just 16 years old.
Getty.
This one is Getty. I think Ujjwal answered it in one of the previous rounds. Pat, your two directs coming up. Shortly after the official 1997 recognition of the name Seborgium for element 106, Geoffrey Winters made an observation for Discover magazine, name-checking a few elements and ending his quip with, "But don't forget the zip code." What element, named in line with the informal convention mentioned in the quad earlier for its analog element europium, was listed last in Winters' list and thus making the witty quip scientifically accurate?
Permium.
Sorry, could you repeat your answer?
Permium.
That is wrong. Pranjal?
Dubnium.
That is wrong. Ujjwal?
Pass.
Shane?
Pass.
So this is Americium because you could have written an email to Seaborg stating Seaborgium lawrencium, Berkelium californium Americium, and it would have reached him because lawrencium was named after the Lawrence Berkeley Lab and then Berkelium in California in America. Pat, your next one. Among cricketers to have scored centuries in both innings of a test match, which ICC Hall of Famer has the highest aggregate score of 456 across both innings, something Gill stopped only 26 short of? This cricketer also holds the unenviable record of being the only one to have featured on the losing side in 350-over World Cup finals played over 3 calendar decades.
Gavaskar.
That's incorrect. Pranjal?
Gooch.
Graham Gooch is correct. Good steal there. Graham Gooch, who's been on the losing side in 3 World Cup finals. And folks, now we enter the last round. Shane and Pat fighting it out for the first position, closely tied at 15. Pranjal and Ujjwal 9 and 8. Last round starting now, the last 8 questions coming your way. Which prestigious literary prize for the best crime novel is awarded annually by the Scandinavian Crime Society, SKS, to a novel written in Danish, Finnish, Icelandic, Norwegian, or Swedish? The award is named after a novel by American author Dashiell Hammett. For the first time in 11 years, a Norwegian author, Eva Frethim, has won it this year for The Bird King.
Maltese Falcon Prize.
That's incorrect. Pat?
Pass.
Ujjwal?
The Glass Key.
The Glass Key is correct. Good steal there. Pranjal, your next one. Carnival games can be unfair to the player based on how they are set up. One popular game involves a particular piece of equipment which is mounted at 2 points of contact. This causes it to be more unstable than typical vertical deployments of such equipment, which uses 4 points of contact. What game is this? Five seconds.
I'll figure it out. Pass.
Pat?
Pass.
Shane?
Ladder.
Ladder is correct. Well worked out. So this is the ladder crawl. So 2 points of contact, but the ones that we use at home, 4 points of contact. Ujjwal, your 2 direct coming up. Good steal there, Shane. This is a worm's eye view of which architectural wonder? Sorry.
I don't know, the Great Pyramid.
That's incorrect. Pat?
Pass.
Pranjal?
Pass.
Shane?
Pass.
Not the Channel Tunnel, is it? No.
This is the Leaning Tower of Pisa from the inside.
Oh.
It is hollow, which I did not know. Ujjwal, your next one. This tattoo was a lucky charm in the Old West. The Romans invented it since they believed the shape warded off evil. As it also looks like a crescent moon, it's associated with fertility. In modern tattooing, if it's pointed up, it means to hold good luck, and if it's pointed down, it means to drain off bad luck. What tattoo motif is this, often paired with dice or shamrock?
And a horseshoe.
Horseshoe is correct, well worked out. This is the horseshoe tattoo. And the last 4 questions of the quiz, Shane, your 2 directs coming up. In the Da Vinci Code, a riddle goes, in London lies a knight, a pope interred, his labors fruit a holy wrath incurred. You seek the orb that ought to be on his tomb. It speaks of rosy flesh and scented womb. Riddle me this. Either name the fruit or the knight in this context. 5 seconds.
Alexander Pope.
Wrong. Pat,
I'll try pomegranate.
that is wrong. Pranjal,
Pass.
Ujjwal.
Pass.
Alexander Pope did speak at this funeral. It was Sir Isaac Newton, a knighted
True.
person and the apple. But Alexander Pope did make it his way. He's the Pope who spoke at the funeral. Shane, your next one. Carnival games can be unfair to the player based on how they are set up. An example of such a game is Guess Your Age. What two-word technique describes the use of ruses, the Barnum-Forer effect, or just purely random guesses to a certain information with chilling effects? Five seconds.
Self-referential technique.
That's incorrect. Pranjal,
Pass.
Pat,
Iceberg technique.
that's wrong. Ujjwal.
Pass.
Okay, so this is called cold reading, which is sort of a sight reading, and it's an anti-prompt on shotgunning, which is a very specific type of cold reading. And folks, we are now going to go through the last two questions. Shane is ahead by a point at this point in the game. Pat right behind him with 15. Pat, your two directs coming up. In the athletics F1 at 75, the 1960s were represented by which English design engineer who founded Lotus Engineering? Referenced as the godfather of F1 aerodynamics, he revolutionized F1 racing by introducing the monocoque chassis, where in the outer shell bears all the weight and forces, eliminating the need for an internal frame, drastically reducing the weight of the car. Lotus dominated F1 in cars, bearing his design stamp through the 1960s and 70s, with drivers like Jim Clark, Graham Hill, and Jochen Rindt.
Chapman.
Chapman is correct. Good get. And the game is tied as we go into the last question of the quiz. I want to make sure I have the correct answer in front of me. And the last question. An exemplar of the slow cinema genre, which 1975 film by Chantal Akerman, a regular entrant in more recent compilations of the greatest film ever made, stars Delphine Seyrig as a titular widowed homemaker, a slice of whose life is captured over 3 days. In a break from the squad, we will be okay if you give us just the name of the titular character.
Jean Dielman.
And you have it correct.
Well done. Well done.
What a
Very well
steal.
done, Pat. Good job.
Very
Oh,
nice.
well played, everyone. Well played, Shane.
Great steal on the last one. Great get on the last question. Folks, ending the quiz. Pranjal at 9, Ujjwal at 10, Shane very close at 16, and Pat at 17. Only 12 questions going unanswered in this quiz. Great game, everyone. Thank you all for playing FLQL Season 8, and I hope all the viewers and all the players are back again for the next season. Thanks, folks.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks for
Really.
reading.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody at FLQL.
And well played, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well played. Bye-bye.